welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy, nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Hello. Let's get right into it. We're going to play Ramped Up Click Pitch.
Up.
Trevor, what the hell is Ramped Up Click Pitch?
Ramped Up Click Pitch is a game where we take two random words each, so that's four in total, from a random phrase generator where we get an adjective and a noun each, and we throw those words at each other. We come up with some improvised game design, talk it out, decide what sort of graphics, give it a rating, and then we make the game.
When have we ever given it a rating?
Or made the game. Yeah, we just throw it away.
Or made the game.
We throw it away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all fun. It's all just for funs.
For funsies.
All right, let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, click.
Soapy inscription.
Plusher glacier.
Ooh. I mean, soapy and glacier. That's going to be slippery as fuck.
It made me think of a game set in like a bath. Like a bathtub. Like you're in the whole world. You're on an island in the middle of a bathtub.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Do you know you're in a bathtub when you start? I don't know. Yeah, go on. I've inspired you.
You really have. Like, I'm seeing like Sea of Thieves with like this huge like porcelain
barrier walls
around the outside, and there's like little soap islands and bubbles and shit and the depths, like where does that chain go, and like
the big
big spigot
face washer monster that comes out of the water, and
you think it's an octopus, but no, it's a fucking face washer. Like I'm just imagining because of like, how face washers have, you get really close up and there's like, you can see the thread count texture, and you can see like the bits of fuzz. I'm seeing like this is like you can count the thread count on this and
count the thread count on these. The normal mapping on this face washer monster
fucking
is
great.
Incredible.
I know there's something about I kind of like the idea of just like, What's that giant fleshy looking island in the distance? It's like someone's knees.
Yeah, we'll have to
have to be very careful. You can't
be very careful. Any
generous
I was going to say any private parts are like this area is completely like it's covered in bubbles and.
Well, I'm just wondering whether you play germs.
Okay,
because soap kills germs, so therefore like you've got to have something to clean away or at least your grime or something like that, and we can
and it makes a bit of sense because the scale that you'd want, if you want like a Sea of Thieves style like size world, you'd need to be pretty small to fit in I guess it could be a large spa bath, but all the same,
just imagine how big the fucking flannel monster is now. Like it's fucking huge. Like
I do love the idea of as you explore the map, you discover the layout of the islands. It's just like, there's like the one knee island over here and the toes island sticking out down this end, and the big mountainous head island at the other end.
And it's literally someone who's fallen asleep in the bathtub. Like,
yeah. You
hear this constant drone sort of thing. And it's actually just them snoring, but of course, with you being such smaller,
the
time dilation,
you experience time difference differently. I like that. I wonder if, as well, just to add some variety, Sea of Thieves has this a bit, but adding a bit more underwater exploration as well, like potentially even submarine vehicles, and that's like sub I was going to try to think of the other word for that, but I guess it's just submarine underwater vehicles as well, and so you can have additional wrecks of Lego ships and
Yeah. The one thing that we do need to be careful of is around a certain area of the body. So it's very dark and murky in that area. Just
very dark and murky, and occasionally just like big bubbles come out, and you don't want to get too close.
Although there's something about like end of the game when the big fat guy who's been sitting in the bath the whole time, because that's right, it's a big fat guy. You don't want to get close to that. He gets up, and it's kind of like, did you ever play Stick of Truth from South Park?
That was the first one, right?
That was the first one. So there was a scene when you were very, very tiny, and you had your mum and dad having sex above you. Well, basically, you have the big swinging peen, sort of.
Well, I was just thinking of as well, like they get out of the bath and the water just drops precipitously. Yeah, that's fun.
I kind of like it. I think it's got to be a big fat guy. Like, it just makes more sense that. Like,
well, you need the islands. You need enough to create the islands. So
and if you're going to have a forest on the island, there's got to be hair. Like, and what better way to have hair on the legs?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, click.
What was the inscription?
I mean, that's just one of the quests.
Okay.
It's you find the tattoo on his ass. Leads you to treasure.
Humiliated weaning.
Epidemic messenger.
A messenger epidemic. Okay.
Or someone like a messenger taking a contagion. Or a contagion spreading via messenger in some way.
I like the idea of it's just a regular Amazon sort of messenger, delivery guy. Mm-hmm. But he comes into contact with like someone who was supposed to be in quarantine, and ends up spreading this disease around. And
I wonder if we go, because weaning off of a drug or something, right? Like, I wonder if there's an aspect of maybe there's been an epidemic and there's a particular drug that is known to prevent it, but also is like highly addictive and has other downsides, to create some gameplay tension. Yeah. Potentially between like, oh, you need to make a run out into this like, post-pandemic
for some
wasteland.
reason I'm seeing this as like Breaking Bad. Literally, you're helping supply things to Walter White, sort of thing. Like,
okay, I mean, you could be supplying this drug. Maybe this is in a a late stage capitalistic world where there's an epidemic that is ongoing and people can't get the drugs that they need. And so the only version that can be distributed is this version that like
a science teacher came up with.
Helps against it. Yeah, science teacher came up with it. Helps against it, but
it's unfortunately extremely pure, just like in Breaking Bad, and has some addictive properties because it's so good at keeping you feeling well.
Yeah, and so then we can explore the dynamics of, the different kind of factions in a world like this.
Yeah.
The cops are there trying to stop you, but they're working for the 1%, essentially.
Yeah.
You're the Robin Hood. It's a modern day Robin Hood, sort of.
Rob from the rich and give to the poor, and then give them an addiction that makes them even more poor. Mean, it's not quite a Robin Hood. It's a kind of fuck you.
No, but you're giving them a life-saving drug. It's just unfortunate that
they're now addicted to that life-saving drug.
There are challenges around that. There are challenges around that. But, I mean, I think it creates some interesting things. Like, maybe there's some signs that someone is on this drug, right? Like, it makes your skin a different shade, or like gives you spots or something. I don't know, whatever it is.
Makes them slightly translucent.
Yeah, sure. And so it's like, you know that someone who is addicted to this drug is not going to be passing on the virus, but they're
you can also see through
high all the time.
You can also see through their skin, and it looks a bit weird.
Well, and I think there's behavior altering stuff as well. Like I think it gets you high.
Yeah, it gets you high because all you want to do is like be slightly higher than what you are. So you're like jumping on step stools and
it actually
like
just gives you
and shit
compulsion to be.
It's slightly like it gets you high. So this guy he goes and like stands on like soup cans with like string, and he's just walking around.
It's like it gives you the compulsion to. It's something like the lower concentration of oxygen in the air, the happier you'll be, and so you just want to get higher, even if it's by like half a meter. The different, it's that sensitive.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah,
that's the stuff.
If you're a stilt walker, oh fuck yeah,
there's a run on hot air balloons.
Empire State Building, always full of people.
It's packed. It's just packed. All the tallest buildings in the world are just full of drug addicts now.
And all they're doing is just breathing
from the virus,
and they're just breathing, and they're just looking out at the sights, going, I never want to leave.
Yeah,
until they start coming down.
It's a euphoric, like literally,
in both, versions of the word, they start coming down. Usually by elevator.
There's some dark stuff you could do there too, like. The ultimate high is coming down quickly or something from the height or something. So you are trying to like this is the thing. It needs to be it still needs to be a dangerous drug in this world. And that's why you are there's a challenge to wean people off of it. When
people getting in planes when they don't know how to fly, like they just...
Well, yeah.
They want to get higher.
Well, that's it, because they tried on commercial airlines, but like they keep the pressure and the oxygen at the same. So
it's not the same as flying in a single engine airplane with the doors open.
That's it. That's exactly it. People like driving up mountains and their ears start popping, and they're like, "Oh yeah, here it comes!" Like that's the sign that you're getting high enough.
and they get up there, and there's a watchtower up there, a la your Fallout, Far Cry 3 and stuff. So they climb to the top, and
there's a mapping system in the game. It's the climbing the towers, but you're just going up there to get high.
It's like, oh yeah, I see Gerald down there, and it's like all of a sudden Gerald's like, waving at you, and he's marked on your map now because you can see him from up there. But
I love the idea of just going up a tower to mark Gerald on your map. Oh, that's where Gerald's house is. I want to see that mechanic in a more mundane situation like that.
It's
That's really funny.
Every time you go into a new suburb, it's like, okay, got to find the mobile tower, climb to the top, get my hit of high, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's Andy's house, and you climb down again, and it's marked now, and you can get there.
Yeah.
God damn, that's so fucking funny. 3, 2, 1, click.
3, 2, 1, click.
Ooh. Opportune guys, as in Guise.
Okay. Marching fireside.
I mean,
okay.
Guys, I'm going to kind of take as this guy's sort of thing.
Yeah. It's like a...
You saying fire immediately brings to mind, what if a guy was like imitating a firefighter?
Okay.
Because he happened to find at an opportune time like a hat and coat, and
well, marching sort of makes sense because I feel like you'd often get firefighters in like a parade or something, right? Like they'll do a parade, or they'll have the firefighters marching band or something, or I don't know, whatever. So maybe this is that this guy, maybe he joins the parade as a firefighter, but then he's stuck fighting fires. Well, everyone thinks he's on the.
I'm just imagining that it's like, oh, he must be the new rookie that we've been waiting for, and so he comes. They pull him in, and they're like, okay, oh, you should know this. You should have gone through this in basic training. But anyway, this is what we do with fire, and it's like,
it's basically the. Yeah, it's the intro to a game that's pretty much just a firefighting game. But that's fine. That's fun. I feel like we could do something interesting with a completely clueless firefighter. The joke is that, doesn't know what he's doing, and you're having to find creative ways to, put out the fires, potentially.
Yeah, and it turns out that gasoline is not one way that you do it. So he learned that the first day.
I love the idea that you could accidentally hook the hose up to the petrol pump instead of the fire hydrant. Just blasts flat,
you go just where the fire hydrant is. There's two taps, and they're marked with a symbol.
They look exactly the same.
They're marked with a symbol or a colour or something like that, and it's like, which one's clear. Which? And whichever one you choose, you chose the wrong one. You can go back and play it from the start.
That sets it up. I love that. Actually, I love that idea of, it's almost, there's sort of puzzle aspects to it where you have to, it is this sort of thing of learning the symbology and learning the colours and stuff, but it's defined as you play by assuming you always get it wrong the first time you do it. The first time you see a set of symbols, whichever one you choose is the wrong one, and from that point on, that is the colour or symbol that represents that thing.
I love the idea of the game. Literally, it goes into this as you can make this as simple or as hard as you want. If you want W to stand for water, make sure you choose G. Because
right, I love that idea that it uses letters and then we have to justify it in some way. So exactly. It's I wanted water and I put W, and we're like, no, W is for wait, don't use that one.
And G for go.
G is for go. You put out the fire. Go put out the fire with this.
And it's just, you could make it as hard or as easy for yourself as possible if you just
sort of look, but you want that choice to be uncertain for people playing it for the first time. The first one, it's water or gasoline, and if they choose the G first, then you just go, why did you choose gasoline? That was fucking stupid. You burnt this place down. Next time, choose water. And from that point on, you'll get it, if you want it, they'll match up. But then, it's the different levels of pressure for the hose or something, and they've got symbols.
Yeah.
And maybe the symbols are, or maybe it's just it's 1, 2, and 3. But when you're supposed to be doing it at a high pressure and you choose 3,
it's why would you choose the lowest pressure?
Why would you choose the lowest pressure? It's but it's 3. It's but we start at 1, the highest, 2, 3. You count it. Or if you start at 2, you have to somehow make up some reasoning why 2 is the lowest pressure, even though it's between 1 and 3. Because even numbers are obviously lower pressure.
Or you just say 3 has more bubbles in it or more oxygen in it, and it's higher pressure that way, and 1 has more water. So it's that's all about the amount of oxygen.
It's the balance. It's all about the balance.
All you had to do is choose 1 or 3. You were better.
And then your final, the final, mission that you're on, and you're okay, I have to choose which tap to plug it into, what pressure, what type of hose to use, what type of nozzle, out of what material, what nozzle size.
If you choose the fire hose, come on. It literally said
it's a hose made of fire.
It literally spews out fire.
It spews fire.
It's a fire hose. What else was it?
Regardless of what you've got it plugged into.
And it's like, if you choose the water hose, it's like, why would you choose the water hose?
No, that's for putting out water.
That's
instead of putting out fire. That's for extinguishing water.
Exactly.
We turn it into steam.
We turn it into steam by putting fire on it.
It's a flamethrower.
I just love that idea.
You've got the nozzle sizes, and they're in Starbucks. Like, it's like venti, large venti, super venti, whatever.
Why would 20 be the largest?
Yeah, why would 20 be the largest? It's ridiculous. It's only 20 millimeters wide.
Medium. Oh, why'd you go that? That's the worst one. Like, it doesn't have the higher pressure of the smaller, and it doesn't have the water flow through rate of the largest. What are you thinking?
That's really funny.
Oh God, that's so great.
Yeah, I love that.
3, 2, 1, click. These are actually kind of fun games, though. Like, I would play the fuck out of that game.
Oh yeah, I mean, that to do that well, like, putting aside the ridiculousness of what we were just talking about. I mean, you'd still have that in there, but as we were sort of talking about before recording, though, there's those games where you are trying to figure out the vocabulary of the world. As you go and building knowledge upon knowledge upon knowledge until you get to the point that you are proficient, and that's a cool feeling in a game if you can build that up well enough.
Yeah.
And so if you could build up a firefighting game in a way that you get to that final mission and you're like, okay, the fire looks like this, it's this type of building, so I know I need this, and this. Yep. Because you've built up that knowledge over the time.
In fact, to make sure that I put this out, I need to use gasoline on the first part of it to burn out.
Burn out the toxic whatever. It's gonna come up with some justification. But for sure, that's cool.
So cool. Okay, Crumb immobilizing.
Slapstick trombone. I do love the slapstick and trombone go together so well.
Oh,
I feel because you've just got the wacky trombone sounds, immobilizing, and crumb.
Yeah. So crumb being the describing word.
Maybe it's Jocelyn Crumb. Because I'm just trying to get crumb out of the way. So maybe it's a name.
Well, I can see it in breadcrumbs sort of thing, little clues, leading to something.
Oh, it's a musical comedy telling of Hansel and Gretel, or like that sort of style of dark fantasy as well, or something, or like fairy tale.
Yeah.
Fairy tale sort of thing, but with slapstick and music. Yeah.
Okay,
I guess the music could just be part of the slapstick, but
is kind of like a Medusa sort of like character, where if you hear their song, it's one of those freezing sort of things of you can't move, and you're almost be left to be devoured. But if you can sort of keep playing the trombone during this thing, you actually drown it out.
Well, maybe.
And you
maybe
beat
there's
the
a
fuck
bit
out of people with it. So that's the slapstick.
Hang on. Right. No, I feel maybe this is a little bit of, in Alien Isolation, how a big part of that was like hiding from the alien.
Yeah.
And like staying still and like.
Which is why I could never play that game. Yep.
I didn't get very far into that. It was
It was fucking scary.
I feel like this could be a funny. You're trying to get away from like a clown playing the trombone.
Okay. Yep.
And so the immobilizing is like you have to stay still. Like it can't I don't know. It can't see you if you're not smiling or something, or if you're smiling. I don't know. Something weird like that.
I know. I'm now just kind of imagining, what the McElroys used to talk about with the old guy with the Vengabus song. Bim, 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 bim. It's always following you. Like
It Follows.
Yeah.
It Follows, but it's the guy with the Vengabus song.
Yeah.
But it's on a trombone.
Which, actually, now that I think about it, that was on Cool Games Inc., wasn't it?
No, I think it was. Yeah. The Unspoken of podcast that we were totally not inspired by. Yeah, okay. I don't think we've quite...
I think click again.
Okay. That's fine. We're not going to get hung up on it.
Okay, I like this. Compliant salvage.
Okay, I don't know if I like this, but it's interestingly evocative. Hollowed birthing.
Okay. I mean, salvage and... What was your first word, sorry?
Hollowed.
Like, hollowed and salvage. I'm getting in a bit of an evocation of Mad Max, that sort of like post-apocalyptic.
But I'm almost picturing these like... Maybe you're like the midwife for these huge auto golems.
Yeah.
Like these creatures.
That's actually where I was going. Like, you read my mind.
These creatures made from, Mad Max-esque
fucking
car pieces, rusted, chrome, exhaust pipes, engines. Yeah. Like there's some really cool... I mean, they're basically Transformers, but...
Except,
I think you style them differently than that. It's more
steampunk.
Makeshift. Yeah, it's like auto-punk. It's like chrome punk.
Yeah. Chrome punk, yeah.
And, the way that they do give birth is, I don't know, maybe they've got, like, this area inside them that you have to hollow out, but, like, you have to take the pieces off of them, deconstruct parts of them to build a new...
On instruction, so it's not like you're violating them. Like
No. With consent, I think they build up. Like they have a gestation period where they, I don't know, swallow different pieces, or like I don't know. They have it's building up inside them, but it has to be constructed then in some way, or like taken out, and they need help.
Yeah, I kind of see a spinning plates aspect of like. This isn't the only one. Like later on into the game, you've got multiple like units that you need to handle, or it's a multiple birth situation. So you're like having to hollow it out a little bit faster, and like
I don't know how the gameplay. I haven't quite nailed down how I feel like it actually works. I really like the world building aspect of it, and I feel like they're big. Like
I mean. We don't have to go full into gameplay. We can go more like interactive novel sort of thing with this, like visual novel, but with more of a thing on.
Or if not visual novel, then just even more like adventure-y,
Adventure-y, yeah.
Because you want to see these things walking around. You want to see the scale of them. You want to get the really nice art design in there.
I kind of like the idea of a sort of visual novel aspect that, but it's almost like the walking sim / visual novel. Like,
I mean, the conversations can be in that way where it's mostly around, your relationships and conversations with these different auto golems that you see, and meet across the landscape.
Game opens, you're walking down a hallway, and you're in conversation with there's a speaker every now and again, and it's talking to you and all this sort of stuff. And it's when you get to this one sort of section that it sort of zooms out, and you see this massive auto golem that you've actually been talking to the entire time. You're talking to it from within. And it's
you're inside it.
You're inside it, and you're walking around in all these hallways, and it's like you're just one of the workers that is helping support this auto golem, and it's actually in communication with you, saying, "Look,
that's interesting.
There's a leak down here, and you've got to go down and sort of handle that."
I do like this idea then of shifting it a little bit. They're so large that you're almost like
you're an engineer, but you're
an engineer, but it's a world where, there's these huge auto golems, and they have this crew of people that they've essentially recruited in some way. Like, the golem provides for them
with accommodation and
like sustenance and food and different things. And in return,
roof over their heads, and in return, you keep them running.
You keep them running, so it's essentially this sort of symbiotic relationship, like your gut bacteria,
Essentially,
but it's these groups of people.
You've got the white blood cells that are literally security, trying to kick people out and all this sort of stuff. Like
I think it's a very prestigious role. Like, it's a goal that people have to get on the crew of one of these golems, and they're chosen personally by the sentient creature. Yeah, it's a sentient creature.
You happen to be in a female one that is literally saying this is the time when. Or
at least a reproducing one.
A reproducing one. They're not gendered.
But at some point, yes, there's... And, we don't even have to base the whole game around the birthing then. No. I think that's just a really interesting aspect then of... And in fact, it could be a not necessarily a climactic, I guess, but it could be a large game event of... It doesn't come until the halfway mark in the game.
End of Act 2. End of Act 2,
and this golem basically is like... I'm pregnant. Maybe they don't say that, or maybe it's so you'd understand what it means.
I am with Gollum.
I am with child.
I just love the idea.
With
Gollum. It's like, not Gollum from Lord of the Rings, but you're with another one of yourself.
I love this.
We skip over the whole robotic dick entering.
Oh my god, yeah. No, I think
it's one of those things that it's what's it called? Auto fertilization.
Yeah, self. Yeah, they're
immaculate conception. Sort of thing.
I don't have my words today. No, I think they just are creatures that reproduce on their own. I can't remember what the word for that is.
Oh, what if it's actually something that happens that essentially they make a brand new body for themselves when this one seems to be dying down. So the whole thing is that they're actually really small, and when they come out, they don't need the crew anymore for another few years until.
Right.
So it's like this is the final voyage of this crew all working together to make sure that the golem
I think maybe this is the first one that's been born in a long time. I think they live for centuries because they can be maintained. But yes, there is a certain point where the wear and tear, and perhaps on their whatever is keeping their consciousness or their whatever intact, has a limited lifespan. And so, I think a big part of it may even be that some of the missions you're going on are to find, the resources that are needed then to build the new body.
Yeah.
That's cool. I even get a Star Trek-ish vibe of this. I feel like you could do it in an interesting episodic way.
Yeah.
You've got the crew, you're learning who everyone is, and
I mean,
but you're traveling across this space.
Of thinking about learning about all the different members of the crew and sort of experiencing
focuses on the relationship between the golem and the main engineer or whatever, but this one focuses on because you've got teachers, you've got all it's a whole society. It's on a starship in Star Trek. You've got civilians, you've got the crew, you've got all sorts of people in there. They've got to be huge. So they're essentially cities on legs, but.
I kind of like the idea of the very final scene is this robot giving birth to itself. Not no,
I know
properly.
I think that's maybe the title of the episode. It's just robot giving birth to itself.
But the idea that it's only as big as a house now. Or
the new one.
The new one.
Yeah. Oh, it chooses one person.
And you are selected to help it through its next, because it's
the beginning of its next journey. It builds itself up.
It's not going to remember everything. Like, it's going to need help. And so it selects you as like, I think at the start you're like the newest person on the crew. But it definitely gets a bit of a, because you're the youngest.
You make a particular connection with it, for sure. Across the episodes, like, as things go. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think the body of the original one, it just lays down and becomes a city.
Yeah.
Like, everyone can still live there. They've got the shelter. They've got the different things.
What if, like, the city that you grew up in was actually one of these, and it's like, it's just now a suburb of that city or something like that. Like, it's just...
Because it's grown over time. Like, because people build regular houses and stuff around it.
I think also where you live is literally the golem graveyard. Like, where they go to die, And
maybe I kind of like the idea that they just like find a good spot to lie down, and a new city springs up from that, and then over time, because there's sort of an automatic community there, as that grows, the sprawl comes around from it. So it doesn't look like just the body of a humanoid creature lying there anymore, unless but if you look from overhead, if you like fly overhead and you really look closely. You can see where the original, like, the older buildings...
It's in agony. It's like...
Oh, this one was murdered.
A big knife in its stomach. Like, a skyscraper's, like, level knife. Right in the middle of
You realise that, like, the huge tower in the centre of town is like this huge murder
sword
weapon
that's been rammed right through it. It's like, that's where I grew up.
I grew up in the hilt of the thing that killed your father.
Fuck me.
That's a really... I love that world. That's cool.
And
I feel like we need to revisit that at some point.
I can see the game. I can actually see the game that would be there. Like,
well, and I can just see some of the
storylines. I mean, would work so well. Like,
maybe, or just really well authored episodes. But I love that idea of like seeing, like, looking out the side of this thing as it's walking across the landscape.
And look, some people may go, "Oh, this is similar to like Mortal Engines or whatever the fuck it was." But it's like,
yeah, but I think the fact that you're in this sentient robotic creature
and you form a connection with them,
bond with it. It's closer to Farscape, wasn't there? Like, didn't the ship have a personality in Farscape? Yeah.
Well, it was an alien being, and they all lived.
That's
in
right.
It,
yeah. But yeah,
it did propagate at one stage.
We've gone over because that was so much fun, but that was a really cool one to finish on. If you'd like to find our previous episodes, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. You can find them all there. Leave us a review. Let us know if you like that idea. We thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
We could probably talk about it for another couple of hours.
Probably.
But we'll call it there because... Hey, Ben, did you know that the song that we play at the start and end of each episode is called Mount Defiance?
What?
And it was written and performed by Kuradust.
You're kidding.
Off of the album Containment Failure, and it can be found for free at kuradust.bandcamp.com.
That's incredible, Trevor. Thank you for telling me.
You're welcome.
That's right. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. And a robot birthed itself. Push. Push.